Welcome to the 2400 Block podcast. Okay, we're recording.
We are recording.
I hit record there. Okay, I'm all new to this, John.
I hear you, man.
I know
Been
you're
there.
I know you're the expert on this podcast thing
No.
going on.
we're both experts in our fields, and I think podcast is good for you too, bro.
Oh yeah, it is. You know, I'm such a fanatic with audio. You know, I'm a filmmaker at first, but a lot of people don't realize that audio is a big portion of video.
Yes.
Because, you know, cameras, they do two things. They capture visual and they capture, you know, audio.
Right.
And I think majority of the people that I've met that get into video, they overlook the audio portion of it and they focus on more of what they're looking at.
Visually.
Yeah,
Yes.
visually. So me as an editor, as the times went on, I used to be like that in the beginning when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, you're on the editing bay and you're just looking at a bunch of nice footage, but then you can't drive a story without good audio because you didn't capture dialogue or you didn't focus on it.
Right.
So that microphone and the lapel mic, that's going to capture the audio is really as important as what you see. So naturally, getting into podcasting or dabbling in it has been a passion because, you know, the sound is amazing when you're using something like this, like a Rodecaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me see here. I don't know if there's a loose. Can you hear me really good? I don't know why it sounds like I'm going.
I hear Dave really good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can hear it pretty well. I'm sure he sounds good. I have faith.
Yeah, we're recording this right now.
Yeah.
But hey, it's nice to see you.
Hey, good too,
Well,
man. Last time you were in the Philippines.
Yes, the last time you interviewed me was in the Philippines, and I was we streamed and we're on two different time zones.
Yeah.
But the coolest thing, I was able to share my experience being in the Philippines and what I was doing and everything.
Yeah.
And thank you for inviting me to be on your show.
You're welcome.
And I still have that footage. I need to work on it.
Uh-huh.
But I'm planning to go back and again, it's always an honor to be in your presence. And this is my first time doing a podcast with you in person.
And hopefully many more.
Hopefully many more. Yes, definitely. Definitely. But I'm glad you're here in Virginia Beach. I know you're here, you know, for certain circumstances.
Yes.
And you know, condolences to your family and the loss of your brother. I know it's hard. I can empathize with that situation too, because of course I lost a loved one too.
Yeah.
And I can relate to how that feels. It's different for everyone. But I'm glad you're here. You're with family and you got your support group. And thank you for allowing me to document that celebration of your brother the past couple of days.
You're welcome.
Yeah, he sounded like he was a really special person, and I know he was.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, so I'm assuming this podcast is it's not really pre-planned as far as what we're going to talk about, but I think the beauty of podcasting is just speaking or ad-libbing what's on your heart,
Yeah.
and topics will come.
This is pretty much done on the fly.
Yes.
So this is just something that was just planned spontaneously.
Yes. Oh, so a technical. Are you sure you can hear me good? I don't know why.
I hear you.
Because this wire here, there I am going technical. Okay, I just want to make sure my sound is good.
All right.
But yeah, it's nice to speak and talk to you
Yes,
here
it is.
while you're here in Virginia Beach. And I'm proud of you. I've seen you grow from you getting your equipment Rodecaster. I remember you were calling me asking or texting me, you know, is this the right type of microphone to get? And I said, yeah, you should get it. And I've seen you flourish and do your thing and connect with people over there in Chicago. And that's inspirational just to see how long you've come and you've grown. And
Yes.
yeah, so how has it been with your podcasting? How?
Um, so far, guys, podcasting started for me during the onset of the pandemic, where everybody was social distancing and being far from each other. So, being on camera was the thing, and that is the only way for us to get closer while we were adhering to social distancing standards. But yes, my podcasting began on that summer of 2020, and I was able to shop around, use some of that stimulus money for podcasting equipment,
Yeah.
and I have been on the mic of sometimes, especially during my years with Variety Tunes, with Emer over here in Virginia Beach. He gave me a head start. But in actuality, it was Danny. He was at the funeral. He was the one that actually uh, vouched for me to go to Variety Tunes, because he always knew that I was good on the mic, and we
Yeah.
were messing with his DJ equipment, and I was on the mic, and he's like, "John, you should go to Variety Tunes." So I was like, "Okay." I'm just the guy on the mic. I was not the guy, making the music. Those guys were geniuses at what they did. Me, I was the guy hosting the parties, or the raves, or whatever you call it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an example that you were how can I say, you were actually preparing yourself for an unseen opportunity, and your opportunity was to get into podcasting. So back then in the day, I can imagine, I don't know if podcasting existed. I would assume podcasting was more radio, and for people to get their hands or to be on radio, it would take, big bucks
Yeah.
to get that airtime. So you kind of fast forward, everyone has access to, to the right tools, and you've got the internet to deliver, the end result. So in hindsight, you were preparing for yourself for an unseen opportunity, and your opportunity came.
Yeah, I so did not expect it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's just how life is. We need to just manifest what we love to do, and you just don't know where it's going to lead to. It's
Yeah.
just that comes with faith. So, Steve Jobs said we can always connect the dots behind us, but we cannot connect the dots that are in front of us. So, you just create value within your life and do what you love that's in your heart, your passion. And that day will come when you're like, man, this is the reason why I did it. I didn't
Yeah.
know it was going to open up doors here or there. And it's just sky's the limit, and it's the same thing. I never chose to be a wedding videographer. It was just one of those things that people just kept asking me to do. And I did it. And in hindsight, it's allowed me to be a much better storyteller, filmmaker, and there have been opportunities to do things outside of just filming weddings, but I would credit just being in that type of environment to almost film anything, because weddings is a run and gun. It's an uncontrolled environment. You have no control of the lighting. You have no control of the people sometimes. So it's more of a documentary type film type thing. You have to film and be on your toes. So now I'm prepared to go film whatever is presented to me at a given time and make quick decisions when to hit record and when not to. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm proud of you for you following your passions and your dreams, and that's what life is about.
Yeah.
And yes, we do got to pay the bills,
It's true.
but if you can create that value within yourself, I think money will chase you. You're not chasing the money or the finances. It's people are gonna be clamoring to want to be at your presence for whatever you're offering. So so I'm sorry I'm over talking.
That's okay. By the way, I know this was a very personal event.
Yes.
My brother's funeral, and I couldn't think of a better person to capture. And just knowing that you are like one of the most praised videographers here, I just went straight. I'm like, I gotta get Dave Alegre.
Man, that really means a lot. I'm going to be very transparent.
Uh-huh.
The journey being in event videography was not easy. It's a roller coaster ride up and
Hmm.
down, and a lot has to do with trying to figure things out on your own. I never went to school for this,
Okay.
and of course you're gonna hit obstacles, you're gonna hit challenges, and
Hmm.
it takes a lot of patience. I'll tell you one thing for those other videographers who want to get into this type of industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely the landscape has changed. It's given me great opportunities to meet wonderful people, and it's also tested me and my patience as far as should I be doing this or not? Is this even
Yeah.
worth it? And again, it allowed me to meet my future wife at the
Oh,
time, and she was one of my clients actually.
really?
Yes, and she hired me to, of course, film her parents' 35th wedding anniversary,
Okay.
and she was really amazed with the product that I presented at our parents' anniversary, which was a video tribute to her parents. And she just was like, "Who is this man?" And I was just doing my thing.
Yeah.
And God will provide the right person at the right time, and that was the right time. And to make a long story short, the rest was history.
Uh-huh.
And of course, you know, uh, and I'll tell you, my video business really tested my marriage too.
Oh, yeah.
And it takes when they say it takes there's a strong man, there's always a strong woman behind you, or a strong wife, or
Mm.
and that's really true. And there were times, it tested our marriage because it wasn't an easy business to deal with. You're
Yeah.
dealing with deadlines, you're dealing with technology that's not,
Yeah.
cooperating. Imagine editing on a 3 gig hard drive, and you can only dump 5 to 10 minutes at a time on that drive,
Yeah.
and then you got to dump it onto tape and then dump the next set of footage. But then what if you want to use some of the footage that was on the previous dump? It was just very meticulous, or very stressful. And there were times I
Yeah.
wanted to take my computer, that I think my first computer was out of Germany.
Oh,
It was
wow.
the first nonlinear system. I wanted to take that $10,000 system and throw it out the window. I said, this is crazy. What am I doing this for? But your passion is going to keep you around even if things are tough. And that's
Yeah.
really, find out what you love to do, and what you will do even if things are hard, because you will stick around. And if money is not an issue, and you would do it for free, because it's what drives you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I said if money wasn't an issue, I still would do video. I'd probably donate my time.
The one thing that I'm proud of, especially when I'm doing, podcasting, and of course you doing the videography part, is
Yeah,
actually going through the trial and error, going through some of the mistakes or the faults that you made,
yeah.
and then you'll be like, oh, I'll be better the next time around. That's what always gets me instilled with confidence every time, because every episode that I make,
Hmm.
they're not the best, but you know what? It still counted. It still keep going.
That's what I love about you. You are persistent, and I think
Yeah.
persistence is an important thing. And you remind me that I need to be persistent. I think talent can only take you so far,
Yeah.
and they say it. The ones that are the least talented can be as successful or more successful than the ones that are talented. But there's a difference. That person who's not the perfect, videographer, or the perfect singer, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
they kept being persistent, and they made it. It's
Yep.
it's all about showing up, at the door.
Yeah.
And that's a key component. And I'll be honest, there were times, it's like, man, how does this dude get more accolades than I do? And not to compare, it's like his stuff is pretty average.
Yeah.
It's like, but he was persistent, and that's what's important. You
Yeah.
have to remind yourself that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you doing your videography and then me doing the podcasting, I try to do like different approaches. I don't know if some people have listened to some of my audio episodes.
Yeah.
Some
Hmm.
of them were okay. Some of them were like, let me give this a shot. And then of course
Yeah.
it's not as good as I wanted it to sound, or
Hmm.
a certain way of
Hmm.
narrating. Yeah. So I just try to go with every approach, and then if I'm comfortable with something, then that's gonna be it for the most part.
And that's good because you are thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
You are taking risk,
Uh-huh.
calculated risk, and you're willing to fall flat on whatever you're trying to do, and that's
Hmm.
okay. And I think majority of the people worry about what people are going to think if they,
Yeah.
look stupid. Um, what does that matter when, we're all going to end up being 6 feet under at some point in time in our lives. So
True.
you remind yourself that tomorrow might not even be promised. So go out and do what it is that you think you're afraid of. And
Yeah.
it's really not that scary. And yeah, I've taken risk myself and said, man, I don't know about this. But there were times I didn't take a risk because I was more worried about, well, what is so and so going to think if I try
Hmm.
this way? But there were times that I took a risk and it was well worth it. And it's like, and then there were people who were copying whatever that risk was or that
Uh-huh.
that innovative technique or style that I presented. And you never know until you try. It's okay to fail, and it's
Yeah.
okay to, if not worry about being stupid in the process,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what the cool part is? Like when you're doing something in
Hmm.
your type of work,
Yeah.
is assembling things together, and then once you
Yeah.
got that thing perfected with the edit,
Hmm.
and then just put the satisfying smile on your face. Say, I did it. Oh, this looks good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, when you're filming for editing.
Hmm.
So you're always thinking in terms of why am I filming it this way?
Yeah.
You're filming because technically in your mind how it's going to be assembled.
Hmm.
And at the same time, when you're out there filming, you're thinking in terms of, for me, it's always about storytelling. So I'm always hunting for mini stories within
Hmm.
throughout the day, whether it's filming a wedding or filming a funeral or filming any type of event. I have to find a sense of purpose, and the only way sometimes to get that purpose is through dialogue.
Yeah.
Now you can visually capture a story without anything being said because sometimes the shots speak for themselves,
Yeah.
and you can be a visual storyteller, and that's good too. But imagine balancing both, being a really good visual storyteller, letting people feel that they're there, but at the same time feel from the heart what they're hearing.
Yeah.
So I love the science of mixing both visual and dialogue um, with music. Music is the driven force of what's going to
Yeah.
sweeten the dialogue. So you can imagine if you ever go to church, you can see it at church too. You ever see the pastor get up on stage
Yeah.
and he starts talking, and then there's a guy in the background with the keyboard kind of,
Yeah.
he's sweetening whatever message that pastor is saying. And I'm like, I know what he's doing, and it's not a trick. It just enlightens what's being said, and that's the same thing with editing. You can really balance both dialogue with a good
Yeah.
soundtrack. If someone's speaking something sentimental, of course you're not going to use rock music. You're going to use something that's going to complement that message,
Yeah.
but at the same time you're going to support it with something visual, and it could be a beautiful cinematic shot. So you don't want to be lopsided. You don't want to just have a bunch of visually nice looking shots with music.
Yeah.
These days people are going to go, what am I looking at? A nice slideshow? So, I love that. I love storytelling, and storytelling can be told in so many ways. And that's why podcasting is an amazing
Yes, it is.
storytelling tool, because right now we're recording dialogue, and who knows, one sound bite can be used on top of something visual that's captured, you
True.
know? You
Like
know?
we're speaking right now, somebody could be playing
Y-
piano, and then some
Yes. Mhm.
great video
Visual.
piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep. And I just saw a vlogger explain that, hey, if you're on the go trying to vlog and you don't know what to say at the moment, just
Hmm.
document. You can always add the dialogue
Yeah.
later. So I was like, oh, that makes sense, because I started getting into vlogging, and I was more worried about, like, what do I got to say right? I got to say something right now, forgetting that I need to document what's happening in front of my face. But then the pressure came off when I remembered, like, hey, let me just document what's going on. And if I don't feel like talking right now, I can always add that later in post production
Yeah.
when I feel right. And sometimes your dialogue whatever you capture, it can be scripted or written in a way that matches what was captured. So that's cool.
Yeah.
It's so you can always do that later too.
I think one of my favorite pieces of you, for vlogging was when you were in the Philippines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was beautiful. Great captures, great,
Yeah.
view of the water, and you're on like on a boat or something.
I think in the Philippines or somewhere where a travel video, if you
Yeah.
go to an exotic place like the Philippines, sometimes your shots can speak for themselves. And if you're out there, of course you can go ahead and talk about what you're seeing. But again, the pressure's off if you want to talk about it later,
Yeah.
and record your voice over for what you just captured. But yeah, the Philippines is it's a beautiful country. It's full of variety, and when I say variety, it's a beautiful country. But also you
Hmm.
see things that you don't see here in the U.S. That's just like culture shock,
Yeah.
and that's a lot to talk about. That's a lot to share, and yeah, I that's a cool thing to be in that type of environment.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, at the time when I was talking to you on the podcast, it was just like that was pretty much a highlight. I was in Manila
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I gotta talk to Johnny. What's going on over here? And hopefully I'll be able to go back there again. Yeah.
Is it going to be maybe next year?
I think it's going to be in about 5 to 6 months.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah, I was supposed to go last week
Uh-huh.
with a group, and it just didn't feel right. It was going to be with a group of family members and kids who have never been there, but it just didn't feel right. I felt like I needed to have more time to be here with my family, that my own kids, and I have a to-do list that's just never ending. I'm gonna actually turn off the air conditioner. I think it'll make it easier.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait a minute, I cut for a second. I think it, and we can hear ourselves anyways. But if it gets hot, I'll turn it back on.
Okay.
Yes, if you guys don't know, we are inside
His trailer.
trailer. So it's like an RV, and I would say it's kind of like a man cave. But
Yeah.
I love it here. It's like 2 steps from my back door at my house, and I'm able to get my work done. And sometimes you do need that solitude. I think creative people, especially editors, they have to have that personality of
Yeah.
being by themselves. And I get more energy being by myself. I don't know why. But then, in the younger years, I had to learn to be extroverted
Uh-huh.
because you have to go out there in public and capture, footage and meet
Yeah.
people. And it's still draining, but it's something I've learned to adapt to. I don't know if you're the same.
Oh, sometimes,
Yeah.
I guess I can say I'm reserved. There's still a part of me that's kind of shy to approach
Yeah.
people. I guess it
Mm.
depends on my mood, but for the
Yeah.
most part, I think I have improved during the last,
Yeah.
couple of years. Like
Yeah.
during my elementary and middle school
Mhm.
years,
Mhm.
that was a little bit of a challenge for me. In high school, I was starting to open up a little bit more,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
as soon as I went to college and then get into my young adult years, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
As soon as I start knowing more about Virginia Beach and the
Yeah.
people, oh my goodness, I just went
Yeah.
like all out and just
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
talking a whole lot. But then
Uh-huh.
there are some certain times where I get kind of moody,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
That's okay.
that's being human, folks.
It is.
We all have our days.
Yeah.
We can't be perfect all the time.
No.
And today, sometimes I gotta admit, I still have these moods, and sometimes I'm very hesitant to approach a person, especially even if it's a general question.
Mm-hmm.
It sometimes I just don't have it in me. Uh,
You think that's age?
um, well, yeah, I think so. So sometimes I just get a young person, hey, do it for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, I heard you or I saw that you got a new toy. You're able to convert old VHS tapes and DVDs
Yes.
into, I'm sure you're finding new
Yeah.
treasures of things you forgot about. It's
Yeah.
just crazy.
It's
Huh?
just weird looking at myself like from 30 years ago, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I have hair. Oh, I'm like 30 pounds lighter. You know, I can
Yeah.
do that again. I can be 30
Yeah.
pounds lighter if I just go on a treadmill or just start jogging. But
Yeah.
I definitely will not get my hair back. I really miss my hair, but you know what? Life goes on, and so will my hair gone.
That's okay. You know, with when you look back and you look at that type of footage or the
Yeah.
memories, the one thing I notice is like you look at yourself and you're like, man, I can still see that's me,
Yeah.
but my demeanor is different.
Right.
Yeah, and where did that energy go? I don't have that same energy like I used to.
Yeah.
It's like you're just really there's this youthful spark that you can see in the video, like, man, I was really energetic back in the day.
Yeah.
And you know, I think we could still be that way in a subtle way. I think, you know,
Yeah.
as we get older, we're a little bit more kind of reserved and observant. We're not jumping all over the place,
Uh-huh.
you know. A little bit more wisdom there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that stuff is worth more than gold because, you know, that old footage back in the 90s and maybe there's some in the 80s is just it's just amazing to look at
Yeah.
and maybe show your kids and say, "Look, I used to be like you."
I believe I got like maybe 12 or 13
Uh-huh.
videotapes to look into. So
Yeah.
that was just only one videotape that I've
Yeah.
been showing you so far.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You know,
Yeah.
videos like wine.
Yeah.
It you put it away, you forget about it, and it's sweeter when you watch it again because things have changed, the looks have changed. You got no hair,
Yeah.
or you had hair. You know, you do see people that aren't even around anymore that are on those videos,
That's true.
and it becomes more valuable. It becomes you know, a bittersweet sometimes memory to really look at. We live in that day and age where it's, you know, not just a picture.
Yeah.
It's you can hear it and see it move, and there's how much more real can you get? You know,
Yeah.
the only sense it doesn't capture is probably smell, which might be okay. But you can taste something if you see it. Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I can taste that history of back then in the day.
Gosh, that's good. I cannot smell myself anymore 'cause I'd be smelling like Polo Sport Cologne.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, when that was hot back in the day.
Man, okay, make
Yeah.
sure they don't make cameras that can capture scent. So, so what is the one thing that you saw or discovered within the tapes so far that you've converted?
Um, Basically there was like I was like using copyrighted songs, you know, songs that were available at the time, and you know, and I
Yeah.
was going through like a bad relationship, and somehow I just like made a music video of myself, and then I was
Oh,
with a friend, and we're all like filming each other, trying to make this one piece look like a music video,
oh my gosh.
and the singer singing these lyrics, you know, whether it's Babyface or Boys to Men, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
those songs, you know, that touches the heart.
yeah, yeah.
It really makes like just a relationship like with your girlfriend. It's like marriage all of a sudden when you start listening to all these songs. And I incorporated that into some of my videos. I looked at it; it was cringy. I had goosebumps looking at it. I was looking at myself, you know, 30 pounds lighter.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's just weird.
You saw your jawline.
Yeah, and I saw myself like wearing, you know, the really super baggy pants back in the 90s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's weird.
Well, that's it's history.
Yeah,
It's you
it's
know.
something I'm starting to appreciate a little bit more. It's going to take a little bit of a while to process, but for sure I'll appreciate my younger self when that time comes.
Oh
But
my
right now,
gosh.
as I'm looking to each video, it's certainly going to be
Hmm.
a while since I come to appreciate myself. And I posted some of this already on Instagram. People are looking at me now at 19 years old or 20 years old.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. But
Yeah.
hey, that's sweeter than wine is just to look back. Oh, that's my Amazon, is it?
Oh wow.
Or is that my
It's
Alexa?
It sounds like artificial intelligence.
Oh gosh,
Yeah,
the time we live in.
yeah.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. You're back here in Hampton Roads. You're back in
Uh-huh.
Virginia Beach. You're
Yes.
you're 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 seeing things. I'm assuming things
Uh-huh.
have changed a
Oh,
little bit.
greatly.
I'm sure, my
Yeah.
brother said the traffic is actually, gosh, it's actually worse.
Yeah. Yeah, it
But,
is.
buildings are popping up here and there.
Yeah.
What's the one thing you notice here in Hampton Roads that you?
Good question. The thing that struck me, besides all the,
Mhm.
new apartments building on certain parts of the road, which were once farmland,
Yeah, yeah.
besides that, I am so thrilled that there are, Filipino businesses thriving
Oh,
here. Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
Whether it's
yeah.
whether it's a bakery,
Mm-hmm.
especially Angie's Bakery that has
Yeah,
already,
yeah,
grown
yeah,
exponentially because they're always in the news.
yeah, yeah,
But just other businesses like just, popping
yeah,
up.
yeah,
I just went to
yeah,
that one place today. I think it's called Project Seed, and they have ube latte, which I
yeah,
had
yeah,
today.
yeah.
So I never even heard of it, but I was just so
Wow.
thrilled to just be in the business, supporting the business.
Yes.
So I just find that really cool.
I think you're so right. I remember that the only real business that was around was Angie's Bakery
Hmm.
back in the day, like
Yeah.
early, like in the 80s, late 80s and 90s. I mean, but you're right. We're really getting out there and as entrepreneurs to
Yeah.
creating things that reflect our culture,
Uh-huh.
and that's a cool thing. And it's so funny when I go sometimes in Angie's Bakery and I see non-Filipinos going there to buy
Yeah.
bread. I'm like, man, we're just
I saw that today.
like, that's weird.
I saw a whole lot of them today.
Yeah, or you
Yeah.
go into an Asian store to buy Filipino food, and it's not Filipinos going in there to buy It's you see Filipinos there, but you also see other cultures wanting pancit
Yeah.
or dinuguan, and I'm like, what? So you're right. If there's any place that's perfect where we're going to grow is probably here in Hampton Roads,
Yeah.
and a lot of the history has to come from, we're a highly populated cities where Filipinos live, and a lot has to do with the military.
Yeah.
Our dad, did your dad was in the Navy, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I think we all carry a common history that our dads joined the Navy back in the 60s and 70s, and then they came here, of course, to Norfolk to be stationed. And I remember my dad back in the day, where my mom would drive to right up to the ship, and I'm like, "Who's this? Who's coming off of the ship?" And it's my dad, and he's got this big bag. I remember it was a
Uh-huh.
green bag, and he carried it, and then he was kissing my mom, and I'm like, "Who's this guy?" It's my dad, and it's like he was gone for like almost a year,
Uh,
on duty or sea duty, and it's just like when I talk to other Filipino friends, are like, "Yeah, my dad's a cook too," or "My dad was in the Navy,"
yeah.
and I think that's the reason why Hampton Roads is full of
Yeah.
Filipinos, as well as San Diego, the opposite side. But yeah, it's just amazing how our culture, and it's probably the second generation Filipinos, establishing these new ideas of our culture and services, whether it's Filipino food
Mm.
or bakery or whatever they have to offer. I think Filipinos got it, are as creative and
Yeah.
can do really cool things. So that's a good thing. Is there anything else that you notice in?
You know what I miss, and I brought it up to Faith this morning,
Yeah.
our friend in common. Um, I just told her that the Friendship Day. Did you
Hmm.
went to that one, by the way?
No, I didn't have a chance.
Okay, so I just saw a little bit of some footage
Yeah.
on social media,
Hmm.
and it's just a different feel. It's not the same because I remember when it was
Mm.
held, like at at Princess Anne Park.
Yes. Yes.
All these associations, they had their own tent, and
Hmm.
you go to
Hmm.
each one, and each one of them are unique, and they
Mm.
treat you as an equal. And there was not really too much of this commercialism going on. Sorry to
Uh,
put you guys down, but it's just a
yes.
different feel,
Yes. You know what's so funny? I was talking about that to a
Uh-huh.
friend just the other day, and we I remember going to Red Wing Park, and
Yeah.
everyone had their potluck,
Uh-huh.
and you had different associations or different
Right.
Filipinos from different provinces. They
Yeah.
were they were barbecuing, they were making
Uh-huh.
pancit, and the coolest thing, you can hop from uh one cabana to the other, and you can eat.
Mm-hmm.
We're welcoming, we're all the
Yes.
same. But yes, today, and there's nothing wrong with today, it's a time of age, you
Yeah.
go there, and it's nothing negative. I'm not trying to be negative. You go there and you're just like, man, it's not like
It's
how it
not
used
a,
to be.
yeah.
It's just like, wow, I got to go to this truck to go get a egg roll.
Uh-huh.
It just seems like a disconnect. It seems like you said, sort of commercialized, and
Yeah.
it just, I don't know. I don't worry about it. I feel like it's helping keep our culture alive, and
Which is a plus.
which is a
Yeah.
plus. But yes, it is a little bit inevitable that it's going to start evolving or water down
Yeah.
to where, you know, um, I'm not being negative. It could be where, the next generation of Filipinos don't know why they're Filipinos, or they don't really have interest in pushing why who they are,
Yeah.
and I don't know. You can kind of see it now, and I can say that because we've experienced what it was like back in the day, you know.
I
So
still remember everyone just congregating over there, just in the
yeah,
masses.
it was a family. It was such a
Yeah.
family event. It was like you were there to hang out
Yeah.
and there to have fun and eat and barbecue and play volleyball, whatever.
I was very grateful to have captured that on VHS. I'm gonna go find some footage. I know
Okay.
it's in like maybe two or three of my tapes
Yes.
of the Filipino Friendship Day as it was in
Yeah.
Kansas Park.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe it can evolve back to that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
who
It would be
knows?
nice.
Yeah,
I think more people might attend, I guess, because it was so pure back then.
I think we should get like the next generation of kids involved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rather than always solely depending on
Yeah.
commercialism.
Yeah. It just seems so
Go back to the
commercialized.
grassroots.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And I don't know. I don't know why it kind of evolved that way.
yeah,
You know, I don't know. It's just maybe I don't know. It's not, it's kind of sad, but
yeah.
it's not. I don't know. It's just hard to explain. I think a lot has to do with our culture now. Everyone's, of course, on their smartphones, and
Exactly.
the younger generation don't really
Yeah,
care to.
their attention spans onto something else.
And sadly, our first generation Filipinos, which are our parents, they're dropping off like
Yeah.
flies. I mean, it's just that's the nature.
Hmm.
That's they're getting pushed out, and
Yeah,
then our generation's supposed to somewhat take over, right? But
yeah,
then are they ready for it, or do they know what they need to do to keep that spirit alive? So I commend, whatever's happening now. At least something's happening,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But of course, you and me were like, oh man, I wish it was like back how it used to be.
I'm just very grateful that we lived that era.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, and I hope you documented it somewhere,
yeah,
some way, so we can kind of share it and say, look,
yeah.
this is how it was.
Uh-huh.
I think I even documented it. I don't know where those tapes are. I know I did go around and film with my big VHS camera, and started asking people questions about what, or how much fun are they having.
Yeah.
And I think this was probably around 94,
Okay.
95. So it was during that time period where it was still
Yeah.
a family event. Yeah, yeah. So by the way, we just we're about to hit 4th of July, and that's
Yeah.
where the Filipino Friendship Day is coming in.
Yeah.
And
It's usually what, before now or after July 4th, right?
yeah, before or after, I think I remember it even being on the day.
Yeah,
In
I
fact,
remember.
there's no patience to when you're driving. I
Uh-huh.
noticed that. So sometimes we got to be mindful for that. We've got to have a little bit more patience,
Uh-huh.
and exercise that, I think. But yeah, we do live in it, and from what I've heard, one of the most expensive countries in the world. You know, bills need to be paid. So of
Yeah.
course you have to exchange time for money, and you got to go out there and work, and you got to work hard to live the American dream. And that's a hard thing to do, is to balance time
Yeah.
and keeping afloat here in America.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in this country, a lot of people hustle, they
Yeah.
just keep going and going, but sometimes you just need to take that step back into reality and look at the loved ones around you, and you have only, this amount of time in this span left. So,
Mm-hmm.
treasure the moments with them as good as you can, as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it'll take a while for you to adjust, but sometimes it's just, it's best to just take a step back and be with them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And don't take anyone for granted.
Hmm.
Um, I'll kind of give a little bit of a story. I remember I had a dog.
Uh-huh.
His name was Hugo. He was a little
Oh,
little
that's
dog,
nice.
Pomeranian dog, but he
Uh-huh.
just kept barking, and I got so pissed off. He was irritating me. I don't know what I was doing at the time. So I grabbed him and threw him across the room, and I
Oh
was just
no.
like, I was a teenager back then,
Uh-huh.
but I was like, man, would you just stop it here to end? And the next day he passed away. He got hit by a car. I felt so guilty at the time because I was like, that was the last memory I had of him, and the last occurrence I had with my dog.
Uh-huh.
And that stayed with me. And I said, you know what, man, don't take living things or your loved ones for granted, because you never know
Yeah.
if that's going to be the last time you're going to see them. And the second time was when I was newly married. Um, of course, any marriage is going to have their disagreements and
Yeah.
arguments. I think, I don't know what it was. It was probably me being a little bit immature,
Uh-huh.
but I remember I was just a little disagreement with my wife, and so for me to cool off, I took off. I,
Okay.
we were in our apartment. I left, got in my car, and drove, and never came back for the next 2, 3 hours.
Oh,
I
okay.
just needed my space.
Yeah.
That actually made it worse. Because I came back, and this is what was told to me. Like, my wife Grace said, you know what? I'm more mad at that, what you did
Uh-huh.
leaving, than anything, because how do I know that's not going to be the last time I'm going to see you? And what if you got in a car accident or something happened? That's the last thing I'm going to have a memory of you.
Hmm.
At least, kind of solve it before you leave. So that made sense. It kind of made
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm never going to do that again. So it's true. You don't take your loved ones for granted.
Yeah.
Um, appreciate the times you have with them, while you have with them,
Yeah.
and cherish that, because you just never know,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah.
I mean, even through, sometimes there are things that are in the way. Sometimes we may have a grudge
Mhm.
on one another. There might be
Yeah.
something that may keep us divided, but at the end of the day, they're still our loved ones, and we still love them as much as they love us too.
Yeah, and we're all human.
Yeah.
It's okay to be angry. Um, it'll pass, whatever that situation is,
Yeah.
you know. That's what I've learned. I mean, sometimes it's hard to swallow certain pills.
Uh-huh.
You have to again, it's sometimes you got to sort that out within yourself,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah. So just remind yourself that. I think as we get older, I'm assuming, and I've caught myself, our patience gets a little bit thin.
Uh-huh.
We don't mess with nonsense.
Yeah.
That's a given, and that's something you have to practice within yourself. I've been trying to do that myself.
Yeah.
Exercise, meditate as much as I can whenever I'm stressful. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
But
Yeah,
I know as we get older, we go through certain challenges in life,
yeah.
some of which it can be life changing. But isn't it good though? Like, we're at this age now where we become more wiser. We're more capable of
Mm-hmm.
handling things that compared
Mm-hmm.
to when we were younger.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think as you get older, you pick your battles.
Yeah.
certain things that used to bother you don't, because now you realize it's
Yeah.
just nonsense. Don't
Uh-huh.
waste your time. You can also identify with people that you don't connect with because of either immaturity or the toxic things that they present to you,
Yeah.
and that's okay because you have to also remind yourself, I used to be like that. Give them mercy. It's okay. Sometimes it's an age situation or it's just
Yeah.
immaturity. So yeah, it's all about having peace
Yeah.
within yourself, and just don't let the small stuff,
Mm-hmm.
let it beat off your back. It's not worth your energy to deal with. Sometimes walk away,
Yeah.
you know and that could be a powerful thing. For wisdom is a big asset as you get older. Some people don't obtain wisdom as they get older.
Yeah.
When they're 19 and they're immature, they could be 50 and still 19
Yeah.
with that same mentality. They never grew. And I'm not saying, I've grown, but I think I'm different than I was when I was 19. I think there's, a sense of growth
Yeah.
there. But I do catch myself, being like, man, that was wrong,
Yeah.
So that's also being self-aware of yourself. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect,
Yeah.
you know. But
The one thing that I was battling with when I was young, and,
yeah,
and my parents didn't want me and my brothers to go out, so me and my brothers were pretty much our own community.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but the worst thing is when I was young, and up until my teenage years, um, man, it was just depressing. Like we didn't really find any true friends, so
Uh,
in that way, I kind of felt, you know, I felt bad on myself.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't have this many friends. We were latchkeys. We were just mostly
yeah,
stuck at home.
yeah,
We just
yeah.
made our own rules, did what
Oh,
we had to do while mom and dad went to work.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
as I gotten older, I'm still kind of lonely in a way, even though I've
Hmm.
ventured onto the podcasting world. People know my name, but uh, at this age now, being it that I'm 50, going on to 51 in September, uh, I'm I feel more comfortable being alone. I don't know what it was before. I was craving the attention because I really just wanted to get out of that box
Yeah.
and get to know people. That was like in my young adult years. But as soon as I got older and older, as the years went by, of course I don't, you know, have that much friends as the years continued. But then I found some real ones along the way. Yeah, there may not
Yeah.
be as many friends, but I found some real ones along the way that I can relate with, that I can talk with, just like this man right here, Dave. He's for real, and I'm very grateful to have him as a friend. So, yeah, I've
Likewise.
I've enjoyed my time, my peace of mind being alone. So,
It's a good thing.
yeah,
I'm there for you. I can relate.
uh-huh,
You have accepted that it's cool to be alone.
yeah,
I know early years, in your teens and even your
yeah,
20s and maybe a little bit in your 30s,
uh-huh,
you feel like you have to fit in
yeah,
and you have to be part of a group, or you feel like why is everyone else dating and they have their significant others and I'm just, something wrong
there
with
you
me.
go.
You're so self-aware of that
Uh-huh,
because you're aware of yourself,
yeah,
and that's the thing typically with artists. And I can relate. I mean, I went through my 20s and teens and not really dating anybody and watching my siblings go out on dates
uh-huh,
and go to prom. I never went to prom, and I was like, is something wrong with me? And I felt like, am I stupid? Am I not friendly or whatever?
uh-huh,
So, there's nothing wrong being a late bloomer, because the craziest thing, I ended up meeting the right person when I was 27, when I was in my moment. And when I say
mm-hmm,
my moment, I was in my passion, which was filmmaking. And that's where I ended up meeting my future wife. And I was like, man, sometimes good things happen to people who do wait and don't,
yeah,
of course, look for it. So then all of this stuff before then didn't matter. It's like, then you feel a little bit confident that then I must be special for waiting this long.
uh-huh,
And then you go through your 30s and you start to build your confidence and know who you really are, because in your 20s you don't know who you are.
yeah,
And then it doesn't matter if you are part of a group of friends. You don't, they they're gone. They've gone their own way. And then you start to identify with your talents and your gifts, and then you have this confidence. So, you're a late bloomer.
Yep.
You are a late bloomer, and that's the coolest thing. There's one thing that someone wrote in my yearbook, and I couldn't understand it because I was pretty shy in high school. And this, I don't know who wrote it, but it was a girl. She wrote it. She said, "Hey, you're very quiet and you don't really speak a lot." That's what she says, but that's a good thing, because the quiet ones are the ones you need to look out for, because those are the ones that really take time to internalize and see themselves, open up and see who they are.
Yeah.
They're so self-aware of the way they are, their actions and stuff, and they assess it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's a perfectionist thing, but they try to figure out how to make themselves better. But it could be a bad thing, because now you're too aware of yourself and you feel shy, or you feel like you don't fit in. But once you realize as you get older that you are unique and everybody's unique in some form or way, then nothing else matters. Nothing else matters, especially as you get older, because people's opinions don't matter. It just bounces off. Like, okay, whatever. And you really grow, and now the little things and the comments, it just bounces off.
Yeah.
Even the negativity. You're so now it could get under your skin here or there sometimes, but it's okay, because your old self is slightly coming back. But again, you rebound and you're like, no, it's all right. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I know what's right. I know right from wrong at this point in time in my life. Yeah. So that's a cool thing. I think I heard a podcast of you explaining that. Yeah. I don't know who you were speaking with, and I think I was connecting so well with what you were saying.
Now, was I talking to probably like a psychologist or something?
No, you were talking to, what's his name, Ed?
Oh, Ed. Okay.
Okay. So he was assessing.
Ed from California.
Is it Ed DeGia?
Oh, Ed DeGia.
Okay, I don't mean to put you out there, Ed.
Okay, Ed DeGia.
Yeah. So I think you were really
I struggled. That was an episode I really struggled.
Oh man, what is going on with this? Maybe I bought the wrong SD card, or maybe I need to set something. It might be in segments, but
That's okay.
Yeah. But it was the weirdest thing. I ended up servicing all these girls back all these girls that I went to high school with, that, I was like, man, like 5-10 years later, I'm now sitting here talking to someone that I was terrified to even approach. Wow. And now you're one of my clients. And I'm not saying that was a power trip. It was just like, okay, that's weird. So yeah, your season will come. It comes for everybody. Yeah. I think high school's just 4 years of peer pressure.
Pretty much.
And then after that is a little bit more peer pressure, because you're still trying to figure yourself out in your 20s. And then you kind of sort that out in your 30s and 40s. You're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm actually stronger than I think I am. Yeah, I know who I am, and I know what my purpose is, in this world. So, hey, if it stops recording, let me know.
Oh, it's okay.
It's weird. At least I know that it's doing it now, because when I go film an event, but I think it's probably in the setting.
Plus, if it goes into like different parts, it's because the thing just shuts down here and there. So we're just doing everything we can to build this episode as we're going going on the fly here.
Yeah. See, this is an example. You live and learn. I think the old me would have been a perfectionist and say, hey, we got to start all over again. Let me figure this out. You know what? I accept whatever happens, other than, you try to set up a plan B, especially, if you're doing a project that deals with, there's only one take. And that's what I have to deal with. There's only one take when you're filming an event or a momentous event like a wedding. So you redundancy, if I have to film something, there's going to be 2 cameras no matter what. Because I can't control what technology does. I mean, there were times my cameras wanted to act stupid, and I'm like, okay, this is crazy. And it happened to me at this one particular wedding. I had 3 cameras set up, and this is when it was tape.
Uh-huh.
And I told one of the video guys, my assistants, to take a head cleaner, which is a cassette tape,
Yeah.
stick it in there and play it on each camera before we start recording, not knowing that this head cleaner was contaminated. And I didn't know you're supposed to only use these head cleaners for a certain amount of time, maybe 20 runs. I think I was using it over and over again. So really it was smudging dirt over the video heads on the cameras, and it clogged every single camera 5 minutes before the ceremony is going to start. So when we put the tape in to hit record, none of them wanted to record because all of the cameras were head clog. It wasn't the tape was between dust, I guess. So I'm like, man, what the heck? These are the only cameras I have. I'm at this wedding and the bride is about to walk down the aisle. So the only thing I could think of is, take the videotape that's in there and rewind and fast forward them for 2 minutes or whatever, because it might dislodge whatever's going on. And it worked. So out of the 3 cameras, only one started working, and I shot the one. It was like, man, I was sweating bullets, and it was just like, what do you do in that situation? You got to think quick, I'm sorry I brought that story up, but that's an example.
Well, let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
Despite that going on,
yeah,
were you able to still finish the product, and did it look good?
yes, because you have to change your style in filming. So now that one camera's gotta be positioned in a way or filmed in a way that looks like 3 cameras was shooting at the. So what I would do from an experience level, I would shoot what's important, let's say the vows, and then during times I feel like the bride and groom's not really going to care what's on video. It could be the priest talking about something that's not to be unreligious, but he's talking about the birds and bees on the Bible or whatever. I'm like, they're not going to watch it. So I would take that opportunity, which could be 5 minutes of him talking, and I'd take that camera that was supposed to capture that, and I would go to the front and start getting cutaway shots of audience members. So
quick move.
I would just continuously shoot different angles as quickly as I can during that moment and run back to the back of the church from the vantage point where I should be. And I'm making one camera do a two camera job. So editing, you can really manipulate things. I can take what was shot and make it seem like it was happening at the same time. So I can take the cutaway shots or reaction shots that I captured, and I can place it during the times, like say when they were saying their vows.
Yeah.
And it would be like, oh, there were 2 cameras shooting at this. It's an illusion, really. So I had to change my style of shooting to mimic what you think really happened. And so that comes from all experience, adjusting, with the situation while you're trying to assess what's going on with the cameras and stuff. But yeah. The other one was when I had an assistant and I was in the bride's house, and I'm filming her going into the limo, and I'm filming her. She goes in the limo, and I handed my keys to my assistant. I said, go get our equipment, put it in the car. It was a hot day. Put it in the car, start the car, get the air conditioning running so we can jump in the car and take off so we can follow the bride and go to the ceremony, which is going to start in about 30 minutes. So I'm filming the bride leaving her house, and the car's going away. And then we run to the car, and we're looking at my car. All the doors are locked. The air conditioning's running and the engine's running, and our equipment's inside. And I only have a camera in my hand, and the wedding's going to start. And I'm like, we're the only ones in front of that house. And I'm like staring at my assistant, like our stuff is in the car that we need to go film this wedding, and I only have and there's no way we're going to get to the church, and there's no way I can get my spare key from my home here in time for us to be at the church on time. So I said, find the biggest brick you can find. And my assistant found a brick in their yard, and we threw it, and that brick would not break the window. I said, throw it harder. So I took my tripod and I smashed my window on the side of the driver's side, the passenger side window. It exploded, and we took off. and I said to myself, you know what? There's no, you can replace a windshield, but you can't replace someone's wedding.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do. I got to find that footage because I, at the same time, I asked my videographer to film the situation because I said that would make a good promotional piece. We'll do whatever it takes. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, okay, so that one turned out good too, right? That one.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Other than,
Yeah.
calling the insurance company and making a lie that someone tried to break in our car and,
No.
so it was zero deductible and they replaced it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good. It turned out well.
Yeah, yeah. So that's dedicate. I would kind of say that's a little bit of a dedication. But those were moments where like, man, this is scary. For someone to trust you to capture something that's only going to happen once. There's no type of film like documenting a wedding where, there's a second take. You
Yeah.
can't, it's not like a movie set. Like, hey, can we redo the scene again and get the
Yeah,
actors?
it's not an elaborate production,
No, it's not it's not controlled. So it's going to happen once, and you got to have all your ducks in a row. And sometimes obstacles get in the way. You
Yeah.
can easily have equipment that don't want, but you prepare for it. You don't ever show up to a wedding with one camera. You show up
Yeah.
with a backup camera. You prepare yourself in ways that you reduce the chances of not being able to get the job done.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I always don't travel with my assistants. They will travel in their own car. So let's say I get in a car accident or a speeding ticket or whatever that stops me from getting to church on time. At least, my guys made it ahead. One of us did. They're there and they can cover it while I'm trying to get my ticket situated. So things like that, you got to think in that mentality, so.
Was it like a 2 or 3 car entourage?
It could be. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I think putting all your eggs in one basket, which is all driving together, is risking it. Let me know if you want to speak about other certain topics.
Oh, about certain topics.
Yeah. Just
No, I think we hit it. We hit everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to expand further, I mean, we can talk about like my favorite whatever.
Well, again, I'm I'm grateful to meet your family and meet your brother, meet your mom and dad, and everything, and it, any funeral, again, is a reminder of how precious life is.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, it's sometimes that's the only time we really get to see friends and family because we're so busy here.
Yeah.
And then the next funeral's that's the next funeral you see them, and that's the only time you do see them. And I think, like I said, we need to learn to slow down and take time to spend time with family.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to balance everything. I think that was one of my drawbacks, is being career oriented and trying to pursue my dreams. And I left, it was unbalanced.
Uh-huh.
I was really not spending time with my wife. I wasn't spending time with my kids. I was just focused on
your work. Yeah.
my work and making money and like being rich,
Uh-huh.
and it's like at the end of the day, it felt empty. And the accolades of people knowing you for what you do is also, it was nice, but at the same time it started stroking your ego, like, man, I am good. But then it's like, what the heck, it's just I think when I first started my videography company, my number one goal, I remember, was to decimate the competition. And and I don't know why I wanted to. I don't know if it was an anger thing to prove someone wrong, or was it me trying to boost myself. But really, that was the number one thing, is like, okay, I have an answer for whatever everyone else is trying to do, but I'm gonna like decimate them. And it was just like I started monopolizing the area as far as my services, because I was doing something completely different than what they were doing. And if they tried something, I would do it even better. from the response of what people would say.
Yeah.
And of course, being 27, 28, that strokes your ego a little bit. And again, that's normal, I guess, when you're that young. But like I said, as you get older, you realize that, you gotta be humble. And sometimes in your life experiences, things will knock you to your feet, to the lowest, to below of, you're not anything, you're just here for a little moment of time.
You know what I just realized? It's kind of like you're flashing back to your 20s.
Yeah.
I just realized now that I believe in one of the videotapes I did had you filming.
Really?
Yeah, I believe I'm sorry to bring this. I'm sorry to bring this name up.
Oh my God!
I don't want to bring up names, but I'll name it right here. But this, I think this was at Indian Lakes Center, whatever it was, the Indian Lakes place.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And I saw you filming. I believe you may have gotten a turtleneck or something. I forgot, but
yeah,
I think you had like a turtleneck, and you were filming. Or you had a camera, and and you had like a mustache, if I remember.
Yeah,
and I believe this was like Carolyn Jarrell's debutante.
Carolyn Jarrell. I'm bad with names.
Yeah. Yeah, so I remember that footage, and I still have it. So
really,
if
holy cow!
Yeah, that's part of the 13 videotapes I had to go through.
That might be cringeworthy for me because I hate looking at my old stuff. Like, oh my God, why did I film it like that?
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be looking for that tape.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I like anything. I think back in the day, what really got me in the door with my work was, one, the advantage was having the equipment that people didn't have their hands on. So nobody had access to, just having a video camera. People were like, whoa, that thing can record video, and just to plug it onto a TV and play it back made people go, that is so cool, I'm on TV. Now, these days, it's just like, yeah, whatever, because you can really take your phone, record, and you can stream it, and you're on TV. The internet,
portability at its best.
Yeah, portability. Yeah. Everyone has their hands on that same wow factor that was in the early 90s, where video was a luxury. It was like one of those things like that was amazing to get yourself on some kind of movie video shown
using
on
all this state-of-the-art equipment.
Yeah, state-of-art equipment. So you kind of fast forward like 20-something, 30 years later, it's almost like it's just like water. Like, it doesn't have that same wow factor. The only wow factor you're going to create with media or cameras is that, the ability to get someone's attention with your story or your message. I know there's a lot of good trends out there, TikTok and it's entertaining. It makes people go, wow, that's cool. And then people follow the trends. It keeps going. But I don't think stories will ever go outdated. Is mastering storytelling is always going to dominate whatever trends come out. Yeah. Now, people do make a good living with trends and doing really cool, unique videos that have no story.
And of course, with the help of artificial intelligence.
That too.
Makes it even, easier and seamless.
Yes. Yeah. You see, it blows me away, and I'm like, that was edited on AI? Okay. I got to up my game. And it's good. And you can take advantage of it as also people who are professional and people who aren't. For me, I use AI to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
It will identify within the dialogue or footage what it thinks would be a very good interest or maybe go viral, and it will point it out to you. Now, it saved me tons of hours of going through the footage and trying to find it myself. So let that do it and get you. It might not be perfect, but it will get you in the right area. Yeah. And then to save you time. And, sometimes you do have clients that are just like, I would just want to see something, use AI and get it out there and use it as a tool, but I don't think it'll ever replace creativity. Yeah. Or that human factor of telling a story.
Yeah, I remember when people were like so dependent on professionals. Now you got all these apps and you got, all this technology. Now it just makes it like everyone's good at this. Remember that time when they're just so dependent on us to make it for them?
Yes. Yes. Like example, I was one of the first to do photo montages in the area. Like I remember showing my first photo montage and it was like selling like hotcakes. Everybody was like, man, I want one of those. I got pictures too. And the weirdest thing, the way I would do it is I would stick a photograph on the wall with Scotch tape, have my camera on a tripod. I would zoom in on it, hit record, and then take it down. I would freeze it. I had this mixer. I'd freeze the picture, put the new picture in place of it, and then I would dissolve it. Like, and sometimes I'd dissolve it and the picture would fall. But I mean, the end result was trying to figure out how to add music to it. So I figured it out. I got a audio DJ mixer and I started timing it. I would push play on the VCR and then I would slowly fade it in and out. The stuff that editing software can do easily. So when I was done with the product, people were just like, oh my God, I can't believe I saw my life story with stills. And then it started getting elaborate because I wanted to do the Ken's burn effect, which is being able to pan or scroll the pictures because I didn't like stagnant pictures. It got boring to me. And I wanted to have movement like documentary. So I bought this $1,000, it's like a platform. You put your picture on it and then your camera's shooting downwards and you got a remote control. So now you can go left, right, up, down.
Wow.
And then at the same time, I'm pushing zoom as I'm panning, like in the timing has to be right. Sometimes the zoom is too fast, but everything was manual.
Wow.
But these photo montage, people would pay like crazy money for it. Like, and then I knew things change when people are like, oh, I made my own photo montage. or when Apple came out with iPhoto and iMovie, and then you hit a button and it took all the pictures and it did it all for you. So technology made it easier, not only for me, but it also made it easier and accessible to anyone to make their own photo montage. So then the demand for me as a professional to sell that became a hard sell. It's like, my friend can make that photo montage. But at the same time, that took pressure off of me because I'm like, I don't want to deal with that stuff anymore. I've got to move on. I get here and there people asking me to still do photo montages, but at the same time, I sometimes tell them like, you can make it you can make that yourself, you know. So you're right. I think technology, you know, sometimes it can take people's careers away because everything it can be done in house. By that person, and it's like, okay, what am I here for?
Whether it's like, you know, video photography related or even graphic arts, you know.
Graphic arts, I mean, from what I heard, you can go on AI and say, type what you want. Like, I want a palm tree in my backyard. I want it to be like a sunset, and I want to, you know, and then boom, you got something. You got a print ad already made for you. You didn't even have to talk to anybody, and it was like sometimes it's free. Like, what the, you know, what does that do with the creative? And sometimes your clients don't know any different. They're like, oh, this is good enough, and it was free, you know. So that changed my model in filming too. Sometimes I would film events or weddings, and I would give them the option to just hire me to film because really that's a skill set that takes years of experience. And I give them the option. I can give you the raw footage and we're done with it because anyone can edit these days. I mean, you might not edit it the way I do, but at least you're going to edit it and I'm done with it. And sometimes I profit more because I'm finished, because on the post-production side, sometimes you lose money because you spend more time than you really should have because it's so customized and time consuming. So it's weird. So has it affect you in some areas? You know,
no, I just look at all these kids just being so super creative. Whether whether it's video, whether it's photo, whether it's graphic design. I mean, it's all at their fingertips. It's something that we were just so good at. Now everyone can do it. And the cream of the crop of those who are going to be in demand again. Everything is a slave to the story. So and again, that's what AI can't replicate. I mean, it can get a little bit close, but really the human factor of producing a story is going to have to come from a human themselves. The heart and the soul.
The soul, it's going to have to come from the heart. I don't think computers can identify what makes something feel good. Like when I'm editing, I used to tell my editors, edit it from your heart. Don't edit from a technical standpoint. Like, oh, I need to cut, go from what you feel and what feels right. And sometimes that's a God-given talent. That's a God-given thing. So if you can use that as your identity and let people, and people will know, your clients will know, they'll be like, that's something I can't get anywhere else. There's no technology that can replicate that. It's just like Steven Spielberg. I mean, you can hand him, a cheap camera, that's digital, and you can hand a film student or graduate a high-end film camera. Who's going to come out with a better story? It's really, those are just tools. It's Steven Spielberg is going to still come out banging with an amazing story, and that's something that comes from within. That does not come from any kind of AI or anything, from what I know, unless AI starts doing. But it's still going to have to come from a human element, a human mind, So that's what I think people need to remember. Those who are worried, like, man, am I going to be replaced by a robot? Still.
Man, just imagine. We're talking here in this podcast, and just see it go. Like, fast forward 10 years later, what would happen now? Like, what are the changes we're going to expect in 10 years from now? Right after we make this recording,
I have no idea, and you just got to be prepared for it. I think keep an open mind. They to be super religious. I think someone said in the Bible you have to be childlike. And when I say childlike, you have to be curious about everything. And I think that's a good thing about people who are sensitive, like you and me. We're a sensitive type. We're the shy type. We're attuned to who we are, but we're also attuned to what we see. So I always try to stay curious, to stay growing. I always want to figure out why things are the way they are. I was one of those kids that opened up, a radio and unscrewed it to see how it worked inside. I was always curious. So when you're always curious about things, and you're curious about topics or curious about technology, you keep an open mind, or you keep you think out of the box creatively. You don't stay stagnant. You think of that next challenge or that next possibility. Because for me, I always didn't like to do what other people did. I had to go the other direction. Like, I don't want to be like everyone else. I need to do the opposite. I need to take if they go right, I have to go left. I don't know why, but I just need to go left because I don't want to follow the herd. So that's creative decisions too. It's like, well, it's done like this, but I'm going to do it like this because I think I should do it like this. And I'm going to be curious to see if it turns out. So curiosity, be curious about everything in your life, and you'll stay young too. You're not going to be stagnant. You're not going to be, you're going to be curious about learning. You're going to be curious about, let me do this. Let me try this. Let me get an RV. Let me try something. So I've always lived that way. And I'm sure, John, you're like that too. You're curious.
I'm still curious, like, how this world is. I'm just sometimes, seeing something unfold in front of my eyes. Here I am, just witnessing something crazy. Some people just act, outlandish in some public places, and here I am trying to make sense of it all. And, just trying to see how people just react upon each other. Like, maybe something, violent is about to happen because someone said this in a very rough, voice. That can trigger something. And I'm just here just watching, just a witness. Like, not, they don't even notice me. I'm like a wall here, but I'm just here just observing. And that's how I stayed out of trouble, for most of my life.
I think I'm like you. When people want to play a board game or some kind of game on the table, I don't want to participate. I want to observe. And I think that's what makes me an observant as a filmmaker. It allows me to be an observer. It's just I'm recording it. So, like I said, if people want to play card games, I'm more like, no, you guys play. And I'm on the sidelines actually watching people's reaction and what's going on and studying, like, what are they doing? And laughing with them. But I'm still part of it. I'm just not participating in the game. And then I don't want to waste my mind energy to play the game. I want to use it to be observant. And I think that's why being a videographer or documentary filmmaker has made it easy for me to be observant on everything. And you're right. I think this world we live in is not perfect. And there's a lot of crazy things going on. There's a lot of crazy people you see. There's a lot of crazy people you meet. And at the same time, you protect yourself from that if it's going to harm you or if someone's doing something crazy. But you look at it and for me, I try not to judge. I don't know what that person went through, why they are acting that way, but at the same time, it's a little bit entertaining. Like, dang, okay, why does he have to scream so loud? Because and again, it's just like, that's the world we live in. We just live in a colorful world of different people, and again, just stay away from anything that's going to harm you. If they're doing something.
From the moment we were born, we are trying to make sense of this world. So right the moment you were born up until your death, you're just trying to make sense out of everything. But at the same time too, you're finding love, you're finding respect, you're finding kindness through it all.
Exactly. And you are not judging. Again, I try not to judge, or I don't judge anybody if they are a certain way or act a certain way or look a certain way, because again, it's like, I don't know what they went through.
Yeah.
You don't know what their backstory is. It's the weirdest thing. Sometimes, when you go in a room and you meet somebody and your first impression is like, oh man, that guy, I don't know about that guy. But then when you start to talk to that person, it's like completely different than what you thought that person was, because you really got to know a little bit who they were by just a little bit of a conversation. And
you might find something in common.
Yes, exactly.
You
so
can relate to.
Everybody has that. I think everybody, we enter this world and we end up having circumstances that we couldn't control. Whether your parents abandon you or your parents or you didn't have an opportunity to go to college because couldn't afford, or something, an ailment, or you got you can't judge anybody for what they were given, the deck of cards they were given. It was just like before my wife passed, she says, this is just the deck of cards we ended up with. And I didn't know my life was going to be a single father with 2 kids in an RV and a home. And I said, this is my life now. I got to move forward. But, a couple years ago, I was a husband and wife, and we were happy, and we were all doing, and I'm happy now. I've come to the point where I'm happy again. But, who knew? It's just like, and if I do act a certain way or feel a certain way, I hope the person who sees me that way doesn't judge me. It's just something I'm dealing with, and everybody has every right to be who they are. And again, if it's going to harm you, you just have to get away. Don't get involved or be with, whatever that person, because people do crazy stuff to...
Again, folks, take a step back.
Take a step back. Exactly. And... yeah, it's just I'm happy to be here talking to you.
Yeah, me
Johnny.
too.
And I just never thought we would end up connecting. I remember you going to, was it First Filipino Baptist Church?
Which is now International Christian Church.
Yeah, I remember you during that time period briefly.
Yeah, I've seen you here and there.
Here and there, and then I think because maybe our age differences, you were probably.
I was in my, I think, mid-20s at that time.
Mid-20s?
So I was still...
Okay, so are you 10 years ahead of me? I'm behind me?
Just a few years. So you said you're 55, right?
Yeah, 55.
I'll be 51 this year.
Oh, okay, you're not too far. So, yeah, I remember you during that time, and then,
Yeah, I always like, I respected you because I just seen what you're doing,
Oh, really?
with the camera and all. I'm like, this guy is so awesome, man. You got to give this guy his respect. So I was always like that when I see him. Like, hey, hi, Mr. Dave, whatever, Dave.
Oh, was it at the church when I was
Yeah.
filming? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah. Oh man. Wow. I never knew, like, something that I just naturally do,
Yeah.
would have ended up affecting anybody. For the first time in my life, I've accepted, and I'm not being arrogant or anything, I've accepted that I'm good at what I do. Now, there's always going to be someone better.
Uh-huh.
But I remember when my wife was around, she always said, "You are amazing at what you do," and I always pushed her comment away. I said, "Don't say that to me," because in my mind, I felt like an imposter syndrome.
Uh-huh.
All of these things in my mind would kick in, like, "Oh, you never went to school for this," like negative thoughts.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm thinking like I haven't yet done what I've seen that could be done out there. I've seen other people.
It's like you didn't deserve that comment.
Yes, I didn't deserve it, and I kept saying that, and just really, she would say it from her heart, saying you are good, especially during the times I was down, and I was like, yeah, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Don't say that to me, because I felt like I haven't yet done what I thought I should be doing, because even my own work, I'm like, I hate that. I don't like that video. It could have been done better, and it was just really irritating to my wife too. She's like, what? So kind of fast forward now, my wife passed away, and for the first time, I'm really accepting what she said. It's the weirdest thing. I can hear her voice say, "You are good at what you do. You're the best at what you do." And I learned that if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in you. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And now I've accepted it. I've accepted that, yes, all the sweat and blood that you took to get what you know now, you are good at what you do. No arrogance. It's just, I am good at what I do. I'm not the best, but I'm good at what I do. I try my best.
Uh-huh.
And that's where accepting that nothing's perfect has come into play. Like, there's nothing perfect. Being excellent is the goal at what you do, and you can do better the next time. So my wife left a beautiful seed in my mind, and now I'm accepting it for the first time, especially this year, that I am good at what I do. I mean, yes, I am. and I'm going to take it with a grain of salt and use it as much as I can. I gave most of my life to this. I'm not going to let it go to waste, and then I'll use it until I can't use it. And it's not mine. It's for me to share to others. You don't want to take it with you to the grave, because like they've always said, the graveyard is the richest place in the world. That is where all the dreams, all the books that weren't written, all of the inventions that people never took a chance on, they took it with them. They went to the grave with it. They just were afraid to take that chance. So I refuse to do that. I'm going to use as much as I can to my best knowledge of what I do, and use it until I die.
Yeah.
And again, you can't see the dots in front of you. I don't know what this might lead to. It might not even be film after this. It could be something, another plateau, but this led me to that. So yeah. So anytime I see you, John, on the internet and you're interviewing people and you're talking on camera, that's like, for me personally as a creative, that's inspirational, because you are showing me that it can be done, and you're doing it. You are doing it. You are going out there and putting yourself out there, especially on the internet. You're putting yourself on video. You're communicating at the same time. That is one of my things I wish I can work on, and I want to work on. And when I see you talking on the internet and you have another guest you're communicating with, I'm like, man, that is awesome. John is doing it, and also knowing your backstory as being, someone that had peer pressure or you didn't know yourself.
Yeah.
I think it was that one episode that made me think I need to root for this guy, and then to see you grow from that point on, and to see you being confident because you are confident on the screen and on the internet, and just you got all these different podcasts. I'm like, man, he's interviewing all crazy people that would, he's interviewing like these rock stars. That is so cool. I'm happy for you, and I'm glad you're doing what you're doing as a creative, in the podcast world. Yeah.
I hope this isn't our last collaboration. Hopefully, me and Dave here will continue.
No, it won't be the last.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to you, we have ties. You live in a city that is part of my life. You live in Chicago. I grew up in Glenview, Illinois during the time my dad was stationed. Over there, he was in the military, and right before he retired, it was like 1985, I think, or 84. Yeah. It was around that time. So Glenview is one of the most memorable places I've lived, and I went there in my early years in high school. I went to Glenbrook South, and I went there junior high too. We went from Guantanamo, where we lived, and then we moved. I think it was in November or December. It was in the middle of winter, and we went from a tropical 90-degree weather all the way to Chicago, where the snow was going up to the second floor.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool, we're not going to go to school today. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to meet new people. Coming to find out, they have school no matter what, even if the snow is like, man. So there was a blizzard, and I remember waiting at the bus stop and going, where the hell? We're freaking in Alaska, And then come to find out, Glenview was one of those places that was a unique place to live. There was Filipinos there too.
Yeah.
And I remember going from Glenview in a train. You can take a train, and I went with my mom and my siblings, and we went to Chicago straight. I remember the last stop was right into the Sears Tower.
Is that Metro? You took the Metro line?
I have no idea. It was a train. It was a Metro.
Commuter train. Yeah.
Yes. So I remember it stopped right at the Sears Tower. We got off and we just toured around Chicago. And it was just a really cool place. I was fortunate to visit maybe 10 or 15 years later, because we were I think I was going there for a wedding. But I think Glenview was developing at the time. They were still building new homes. But yeah, I want to go back. I want to go hang out with you. And I'm saying this on the record. I want to go visit you, and we'll take this piece and put it onto the video. But I want to go there and go around and explore the place and reminisce, and maybe capture things I didn't capture or see when I grew up there. I remember I got my driver's license there, and I learned how to drive in Chicago.
Yeah.
Our teacher was teaching us how to city drive, and then I remember driving around the first McDonald's. I just remember going, yeah, that's the first McDonald's. So we drove around there. I remember taking my driver's test in that city. So that's where I first drove when I was 16. Yeah. So it's a cool place. I think you live in what made you move there, by the way?
Actually, for the record, I live in the Chicagoland area. Presently, I live in Bolingbrook, which is one of the cities in the suburbs.
Oh, Bolingbrook.
So good question there, Dave. The reason why I moved to Chicago area is because, my girlfriend.
Is that where you met her?
Actually, she met me 16 years ago. If it's June, so that's going to be the anniversary. It was 16 years ago she met me here in person. Because I just moved back from Orlando after my 2 years over there.
Oh, okay. Got you.
But it was her brother that pretty much got us together. He just handed the phone to me one time, and I just talked to her for like 2+ hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a connection there. Huh?
Yeah.
See? It happens when it happens.
I mean, I never even knew that I was going to be living in the Chicagoland area one day. I mean, here I was. I even looked at, footage of myself back in the 90s. I'm wearing a Chicago White Sox hat.
Oh gosh. See, it was
Yeah.
destined to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But I wish I was there when when Jordan and the Bulls won those championships.
You know what? I lived there during that
Oh
time
yeah.
period.
Tell me about it.
Well, the craziest thing, I don't know if it was Northbrook area.
Uh-huh.
It was in the rich neighborhood. I remember my friend at the time, we were just driving around the suburbs around Glenview and
Yeah.
Northbrook area. And then we were just like, let's go look at the big houses. But we drove up right into this driveway. It was a simple house.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't even a mansion or anything. We drove up in driveway and we parked right in the driveway.
Uh-huh.
There was a nice car there. It was a sports car. And then my friend said, "Oh, this is where Michael Jordan lives. He's a rookie." I was like, "Really? Who's Michael Jordan?" And then as we were talking about it, we saw the second floor light turn on.
Uh-huh.
And I think that had to have been him. But that was his home. That was his first home. And I was like, okay, Michael Jordan. Okay. I should have bought his rookie card back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, next thing you know, he just blew up. He became who he is today.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was crazy. and I think I lived there during the time they shot the Breakfast Club
Yeah.
movie. They were shooting movies and
Oh.
yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the sister high school.
I can name a few films that were filmed around,
Yeah.
around that time that you may
yeah.
have been there. I remember Weird Science.
Weird Science,
So,
yeah.
So some,
Northbrook.
there you go.
That's the same mall.
And then parts of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That was shot at the sister high school of my school because I was
Yeah.
Glenbrook South. That might have been Glenbrook North or something, but I knew it was Glenbrook. It was. Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, I remember going to like the mall over there in Northbrook,
Yes.
and I'm looking at parts of the area. I'm like, ooh, this is where scenes from Weird Science was filmed.
Weird Science. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I'll watch the movie, pause it, and go, "Yep, that's the same thing that was hanging on the ceiling. It was a big house." But I was like, I could look in the back and oh, that's where my dad bought our first big screen TV, the one that was like a box. Because I remember we went there. It's a Mitsubishi TV.
Uh-huh.
We went there, and my dad said, "Oh, we're gonna buy this," and it was at that mall, and it's. I think it's in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like oh, that's during the same time period. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I'm not surprised. Chicago is a well-known city. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful city.
It is.
Yeah, it's there's a lot to do. I think during my time, I was younger. I didn't have a chance to really explore, but to go there as an adult,
Yeah.
you realize, especially when you go around Chicago area,
Yeah.
like man, this is the best place to be as an adult to go, this city, because as a young kid you're confined in the Navy base. You can
Yeah.
only like go so far. You get in trouble if you leave the base.
Yeah.
But as an adult, you go back and you start to appreciate the things you didn't as a youth. So, but I remember going to Great America, or there was an amusement park there. Not Great.
Gosh.
Great. It's amusement.
I got a brain fart right now.
It's near Great Lakes.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it's one of the biggest. It's one of the main amusement parks over there that everybody goes. And the first time I rode a roller coaster too.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just forgot what it was. I have
Yeah.
a brain fart, and I've known it all this time. Now all of a sudden, today, talking to you, I have a brain fart. Don't even know what it is.
I would think you would have went there because you don't go to amusement parks.
I have not been there yet, but it's kind of like in the talks with the family.
Yeah. Well, that's where everybody wanted to go during the summer.
Is that like near Gurnee, Illinois?
I have I just know it's an hour away, and it's near it's like when you're going down the interstate. I remember going down the interstate and always seeing a Wendy's on an overpass.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's so cool that they made a fast food place on an overpass.
Oh, the Oasis.
Yeah, because we
Yeah.
would go there and we can watch the cars go underneath
Yeah.
us. But I was like, that's weird that they put a fast food joint on top of the interstate.
Yeah, there's still a few of those left.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, they removed some already. I guess they didn't. I guess they didn't want to continue maintaining that, and plus they were expanding the roads, trying to make it more easier for the commuters because it's always been bad. You know, the roads now when they put them to like an additional 3 lanes or whatever.
Yeah.
It looks better
Yeah.
now. The
Oh,
flow
wow.
is gotten better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I forgot there was a mall in Chicago. It looked like it's near the church or something. But I remember it was like 3 stories.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the name of that mall. It's in Chicago.
Oh.
It's a well-known mall too.
Water Tower?
Yeah, I think that's it. Water Tower.
Yeah.
That's it. Yes, yes. Water Tower, and then
And I think that one amusement park you're talking about, and I haven't been to yet.
yeah.
I got to go to Wisconsin Dells. I have not went to the Wisconsin Dells.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there you go. The brain fart is gone.
Wisconsin Dells. You know
Yeah.
what? That is. I have home video of that too.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
It's we probably went there maybe 3 times when we lived there.
Uh-huh.
And again, we're a camping family, so we would go there every summer as a family.
Oh.
Yeah. That's cool. Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a long drive too.
Yeah.
You have to drive up north. Yep. And I remember seeing that famous because I took I don't know, I took a class that was about the history of Chicago. So we would go on field trips in Chicago to look at the Lake Wright, or who's that famous guy who built homes?
Oh my gosh, it's
I forgot his name.
Lloyd Wright or something.
Lloyd Wright or something, Wright
Yeah.
something. But you know, we would actually go to those properties as on a field trip and look at the
Was
architect.
that alongside the Chicago River? I think I remember seeing.
Well, he had
Yeah.
different places around.
I remember
Chicago.
I remember they brought it up like during the
Yeah.
architectural tour. Like we're
Yeah.
on the boat or what, a ship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But what's so cool about it is that these homes, you look at them, they are as modern as they are today,
Yeah.
or even more modern, just the way they were designed by this guy.
Yeah.
But that was in Chicago. I remember taking trips, you know, just to go study his architecture
Yeah.
and look at the homes that he built. But I was like, oh, that's
I
nice.
think it's Frank Lloyd Wright. I hope
Frank
I'm right
Lloyd
on
Wright. That might be it.
that. Yeah.
Frank Lloyd Wright. Yeah, so I remember that. I remember going to the Harpo.
The Harpo Studios.
Yes, and going to the parking lot. Oh, this is where Oprah films her shows.
Uh-huh.
But I definitely remember the Sears Tower, the 2 towers, and then the Sears. It's not called Sears Tower, probably, or the Hancock.
They call it the Willis Tower now because Willis is the one that took over.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
to me, to all the Chicagoans out there, they all know that it's the Sears Tower and always will be.
Yeah, for us, it's a Sears Tower.
Yeah.
But I do remember some Filipino bakeries back in the day. That's the first time I was introduced to pandesal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think we went to Chicago to some bakery, and I'm like, "What's a pandesal?" And then, yeah, experienced that. But yeah, it's a beautiful city.
It's good now that they have a seafood city, and then they have all these bakeries right next to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they also have a Red Ribbon like they do here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's another bakery right next to it. I forgot what it was called though, but they have that too.
Yeah. They have Max's.
Yep, they do.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That is so cool. But yeah, those were the days in the 80s living over there.
Yeah.
And I again, I remember going to high school and just being the only Asian there were only 2 Asians. It was me and a girl.
Oh.
And out of like so many students, I think it was over 1,000 students, and I was like, me and this girl was the only Asian out of the whole school, and it was mainly Caucasian high school, and definitely a rich high school too, because I was like, man, why are everyone being dropped off on in a Corvette, and I think I've seen a couple limos a couple times.
Oh, wow.
Why are they getting dropped off? And it was just weird. I'm like, wow. So went there, and then I came back later on, a decade and a half later. I came back, come in there, and I snuck in the high school, and it was all Chinese. Like, what?
Oh, big change.
Chinese high school now. And I don't know if it was the development of Glenview because they closed the base and they built new homes.
Yeah,
Maybe
they closed the base, and I think they turned it into a mall.
Turned a mall
Yeah.
and an expensive development.
Yeah.
I mean, they had $1 million homes on top of where my Navy housing was. I'm like, I think this is where I used to live because I remember the train track, but there were $1 million homes being developed, and they're probably all there now. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, maybe Chinese people are moving here for investments or they're.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that's what happened, and I remember, oh God, there was a shopping center. My first job was at McDonald's. It was just down the street. I remember I had to go work,
Yeah.
and my first job was there. It was, it's the name starts with a P. I got a brain fart too. But I went back to that exact McDonald's, walked in, and I just stood there just watching what's going on, going, man, if these walls could talk. And everything was still the same. And it was
Really?
just, yeah. And I had so many memories. I think I had to get a permit, but I was 15 and my first job was working there. You know, I remember working a cashier first and I didn't like it because, Chicagoans are
Yeah.
kind of rude. and some of them, not all of them, but they were, you do something on the cash register and they're just screaming at you. And then your anxiety goes up. You can't handle it. And you see a long line going out the door and it's your line. So I'm like, hey, I remember talking to the manager saying, I don't want to work cashier. I don't want to be in front of the customers. I would prefer to be in the back.
Yeah, just doing the sequence.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I did all the hamburgers in the
Yeah.
back. And I remember my manager, I don't know, we had a dispute or something. And then he got so pissed off at me because, I don't know, maybe I had a little bit of a temper, but we were throwing nuggets at each other. And he was ducking and then he was laughing. And then to punish me in the middle of when it was like busy,
Uh-huh.
he told all the other cooks in the back to go take a break except for me.
Uh-oh.
So I was doing the hamburgers and the egg rolls and the fries and running and I was trying to prove to him I could do it all, And then it came from throwing nuggets to hamburgers, and then he was just laughing at me, and then the customers were all laughing, and then next thing you know, he was like, "Okay, Dave, take your break," and he called the other guys, the crew, to come back.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember there were a ladder going up to the ceiling,
Right.
up to the
Okay.
roof.
Gets interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So me, I'm just one of those curious people. I went up the ladder, opened the hatch, went on the roof of the McDonald's and just sat up there to steam off.
Oh.
And then I remember my manager going, "Where did Dave go? They're all panicking." And then I opened the hatch and I'm looking down at everybody panicking, trying to figure out where did I go. And I'm just like, so again, when I went back so many years later, I went back and I was like, man, if the walls could talk, working here for so many years.
Even you just come up to someone like, "Hey, I used to work at this McDonald's and I remember this moment." And
Yeah, I think no, I didn't do that. I remember making the BLT or whatever that thing was. You make the one side's cold and the other
Yeah.
side's hot, and you flip.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember making those. I remember this girl I liked. She would show up at McDonald's, and then she would order like a 20-piece nugget.
Okay.
So I'd be in the back, and I'd stuff her nugget box, with like 50 nuggets.
Wow.
It was like bulging, and then I'd hand it to the
putting in a bonus.
and hand it to the
bonus 30
cashier.
nuggets, uh-huh.
Yep, and I said that's for her over there,
Oh.
just to get some brownie points, and it just kept happening over and over again. But I was doing crazy stuff
That was cool.
and everything.
Thanks for sharing that highlight.
Yeah, so we'll go to Chicago together and hang out and do stuff together and maybe turn a vlog out of it.
See,
right?
that's what's going to happen because I interviewed him when he was in the Philippines. Now we're talking right here in person to each other. So the next one is definitely going to be in Chicago. So, yeah, we're going through certain steps with our podcasting here, folks.
Yeah, I'm gonna either drive, which is okay. I love driving. It's only 18 hours, or I'm gonna get on a train because I like the. But there's nothing wrong flying either because you'll get there quicker. But it's not farther. It's not as far as you think because you look at the map. We're Virginia.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's just up north a little bit, and it's right there. It's just a hop and a skip. It's no different than going to New York.
Yeah.
It's just kind of angled. So there's no excuse to not even go there. I'm going to go there, definitely soon. And I'm going to keep my word that, life is short,
Yep.
That's on my to-do list is to do as much as you can while we're here.
Yeah.
And why not? I'm getting back into media, and I want to capture different environments. It's not just about capturing the Philippines.
Yeah.
Let's go capture what's on our homeland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, have you ever been to Tennessee?
I have. I probably drove through it, but never really stopped.
Yeah,
there.
come by Gatlinburg, man. Check it out.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
If you're into zip lining, feel free to with your kids. Get yourself some, GoPro camera on your helmet or something.
Yeah. Yep.
And go.
Well, if I'm gonna go there, I want to definitely go see Graceland. Is that in Tennessee?
That's in, I think, Memphis.
Memphis. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go there.
But if you are in Gatlinburg or in Pigeon Forge, that'll be Dollywood.
Dollywood. Okay.
It's like an amusement park, inspired by Dolly Parton. And she stops there sometimes.
Yeah.
I've never seen her in person yet, but
yeah,
I've heard she drops by every once in a while.
That'll be cool.
And if you're in the cabin on the mountains, you may see a bear or two. But that's part of their, that's their habitat,
Yeah. As long as they don't.
You just got to be careful, but at the same time respect their boundaries,
Yeah. Just don't be feeding them with your hand, or else your hand gets bitten off, right?
I think I flew my drone there a few times. It's pretty cool. Yeah, getting some breathtaking footage.
Oh, that sounds. There's so much here in our homeland that we just don't take advantage of it. I mean, I want to definitely see Graceland, and I want to see.
I want to see that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see Selena's museum, but that's in Texas, I think. Yeah. Texas, because
Texas was Corpus Christi, I think.
Yeah, that's
I'm just gonna just name a city, and I'm thinking it's right there. I could be wrong, but that's a good guess.
But Chicago's first, and Chicago has always been in my heart. At the same time, it's amazing how what is that? The Great Lakes or the you won't realize how huge that thing is. You think it's just a lake. That's a huge lake. That's Lake like Michigan. An ocean.
Yeah, Lake Michigan looks like an ocean. Man.
It is an ocean. Yeah. It's just like, I remember back in the day, I'm like, oh, that's just a lake. But then you really look at it, it's a freaking ocean.
Yeah.
And I've heard shipwrecks happen there, and people got lost. I'm like, oh, on a lake. But yeah, that's so cool. I gotta find that one picture one day. Hopefully I can find it. It's me with my video camera and tripod, and I have the Sears Tower on the skyline, and I'm filming with gloves and I think it's a hoodie or a hat, and I'm really like focusing on capturing the that lake, and it's just like it's such a cool shot because I'm like, man, it's like I came full circle. I'm coming over here to film this place. I was invited to go film a wedding there, and I'm back over here to film, Chicago. But it was so cold I didn't have a chance to go around.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with you, because you probably know more than I do.
Yeah, definitely know. Definitely let me know, like a month or two in advance, so that way I'll let my work know.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely want to spend like maybe a week, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely.
And definitely, it'll be nice to meet your kids. I know they're out there right now in the house, but I would love to meet them when they are all in Chicago.
Yeah.
And then you get to tell them about how your life was in Chicago. Tell them what, did you show them your school? No.
No, maybe a picture here or there, but they didn't really see.
Definitely tell them that McDonald's story, though, that one you told me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely McDonald's. And, I think when I get there, things will trigger my mind.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes things will draw your mind with
Yeah.
your memory and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And hopefully I'll meet other Filipinos there too, because I remember when I went to the wedding, I'm like, I didn't know a lot of Filipinos live here also. I remember there was one Filipino family, they owned 3 homes side by side.
Oh.
Yeah, and I went to one of the houses and they were having a get together and they said, "Come on, we're going to go to another get together." And they went through the fence. I guess they made an entrance way and they're like, "Oh, whose house is this?" Like, "Oh, this is my auntie's house. We all live together." And then we went in the basement, hung out and ate, and then they went over to the other house. And I'm like, "Wow, did you consecutively or plan to buy all 3 of these homes together?" And it's like, "Yeah, so we can all live together." I'm like, "Oh, this is so cool. Filipinos are cool."
Yeah.
I didn't know they live here. So, but anyways, it was fun talking to you.
Yeah, you too, man.
I
And
know.
then I'm glad that the camera's still rolling.
Yes, we had a technical issue. I didn't know my little camera that I had set up would overheat. It was the first time, and I suspect it might be the video card that I stuck in there, the SD card. So I'll research that. I'm glad it happened now and not during an event that's people are relying on my
Your
services, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, my thing overheat." So I'm glad I made a decision to test out that card.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to make sure that card was okay, because sometimes cards are bad.
Yeah.
And if it's a dud, at least I know it's doing something.
Yeah.
And I'm going to either not use it or use my other card, which doesn't overheat. So I don't know. Maybe the bit rate's too high. Maybe I bought the wrong kind of card.
Yeah.
Because they do have a list of cards that they only really recommend, and I don't think that's on the list. So
yeah,
darn
definitely
it.
look that up. Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'm going to use that card for other reasons. Maybe it'll be better on my drone.
Yeah.
But this is the card that they gave me with the camera, and never overheats. So
Oh well.
yeah, so I'll stick with that one.
Look at that, folks. Look how tiny that thing is.
Yeah, it's got its pro and cons. It's compact, but you know, you can lose that thing if you drop it. It's
Yeah.
like losing a pin, you know, and that's not good. So I bought a little case that specifically for those small SD cards, and I think I'm going to put an Apple tag on it,
Yeah.
because that's the worst nightmare, is to lose your cards, you know. So, and I know there's some photographers and videographers that got their stuff stolen on site. You know, and I remember this one photographer said, "You know what? It's not the cameras or equipment. I can replace those things
Yeah.
because I got insurance. It's the cards I want back. Just mail me my cards and you keep the equipment, because the memories on those cards is what my clients want, and that's not replaceable."
Yeah.
And you know, so that made sense. I'm like, man, okay. But yeah. But hey, John, it's nice talking to you. Thank
Yeah,
you
too, man.
for visiting. I'm honored to be talking to you and everything. And
Same here.
I'm not a podcaster. I just love to talk.
Oh, you did a heck of a good job today, bro.
Yeah, and you're just like I said, keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks.
You inspire me. You don't even know it, but you inspire me that whether it's any type of media, but just being persistent in what you do is a reminder that, you know, we should all be that way in the things we have passions for. You know, there's going to be days you don't want to get up and move, you know, because life gets in the way, or you know, you got distractions, you know, and distractions can come in all kinds of ways. They say, you know, you plan your day. I try to create a to-do list, and then it doesn't. You don't even touch your to-do list because they said something like Murphy comes calling. Yeah. You know, you wake up and then, you know, things derail your plan, and that's okay too. But your persistence is what I admire the most, which is a cool thing, and you're just reminding me that that's an important element, you know, on anything that you do in life. Just consistently show up and push yourself, to the, with balance.
Yeah.
I've pushed myself in the past, but balance, don't let that be the only thing you're pushing, because you're going to be leaving people behind that need your attention. It could be your partner, it could be your kids, it could be your family, it could be, your own time for yourself. So,
Yeah.
it's all about balance, right?
Yep.
So, but anyways, we will speak again one day, and that's going to be in Chicago. And we will we'll hang out. I'm grateful you have come to my little man cave here in Virginia Beach.
A wonderful man cave. 30-foot man cave.
30-foot man cave, and sometimes I'm, if you can't find me, I'm here. I'm here creating, and I'm here living my life, in solitude, and that's a good thing. And not too much solitude's good either, but solitude is a great thing. It recharges your mind and your body, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
That's who we are, and some people are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, it's nice being here and having pizza with you, and
Likewise.
Yeah, you have a safe trip back.
Thank you.
To Chicago. I know you're leaving after 4th of July?
Yeah, leaving on Saturday morning.
Saturday morning? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you drove here, right?
Yep.
Okay.
14-hour drive.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you're not the only one driving, right?
Oh, I am.
Oh, you are? Oh
Yeah.
gosh, okay.
But I think going back though,
Yeah.
I'll probably put in 7 hours for one day
Yeah.
and then sleep,
Yeah.
and then the next day I'll finish the 7 hours.
Oh, okay.
I'm not too much of a good night driver, like for the
Yeah.
long term.
Yeah.
And I've come across, hitting a deer at 3:30 in the morning.
Ooh, that's
Luckily, I braked at the right time, so the deer instead of the deer falling to my windshield, the deer
Aw.
fell on the other end, and of course it felt like a bump, like when you're in a
Oh,
car. Yeah, I
wow.
felt sorry for that deer, but it was,
Oh.
it ended up badly, and my girlfriend was looking at the whole thing. I didn't want to look at the deer. I just had to keep looking straight. I didn't want it to traumatize me.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
because that'll stick in your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a hard time hitting a possum,
Oh, really?
those things are ugly, but I'm just
Uh-huh.
like, I don't like hitting things with my car, and they're suffering, but yeah, wow.
Yeah,
You hit a deer.
it's suffering, and then on top of that,
Yeah.
the possums are like marsupials, so they have all these, their kids inside.
Oh.
There could be like little ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we won't talk about
Now we're talking about animals now.
Yeah.
Wow, look how far we've come with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yesterday there was just real quick, there was
Uh-huh.
this water bug walking around, and I'm like, I don't like killing anything. I can't even kill an ant, but I mean, I said if I have to kill it, I have to kill it, because I don't want it to create more
Yeah.
here. But I said let me see if I can at least grab it, and I put gloves on. I grabbed it with a towel. I caught it, and then I walked down the street and let it go. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just want, anything has, it doesn't matter. They can live too. I don't. So yeah, I can imagine like a deer. A deer's it's like a beautiful creature.
Yeah. Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing going to the Philippines. They slaughter the breakfast, and I'm like,
Oh.
I don't want to be around when that. I don't want to know what I'm eating. So, I would be horrible living on a farm if I was in charge of slaughtering
yeah.
things. I would probably make friends with all the chickens and all the ducks and all the cows and name them and be
Yeah.
like, no, I would like, and I even have a hard time when I remember we go crabbing, and my mom would put them all in the pot and start boiling them, and I can hear them tapping.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, but I love crabs, so I'm like, I'm going upstairs.
Yeah.
Just call me when it's done tapping, because I don't want to have that
Yeah.
thought of their suffering in that pot. But man, I think we're just sensitive people. So.
Yeah.
Okay, but anyways, thank you, John. We could talk forever.
Yes.
And
we
then
can.
I know this is probably a super long podcast,
Which is worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably have to cut it in sections or streamline
Yeah.
it. But again, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you for for what you do, and again, thank you for allowing me to be part of your as much it was a hard moment.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to capture the memories of your brother on his celebration of being entered into a beautiful facility.
Yeah.
And honors as a military. And he sounded like a good brother. I know. We're at that age where sadly, we're hearing our friends losing their parents, and even people our age are passing away.
Yeah.
And that's just life. And I feel for you, and pray for your family that the healing continues, and you will heal. And I know there'll be moments, but that's okay. That's part of the process. And just remember, your brother is his memory will live on. And I'm glad that I'm able to at least create a memory that at least it will reflect a little bit of who I'm only going to scratch the surface, but who he was, because I don't want to make something that's going to be sad to watch. I want something that's going to kind of reflect who he was, but at the same time show that he was honored, before he was buried, and everything. But I pray for your mom and dad. I know that's hard for them and everything, and anyone that knew him. And just pray for those out there right now who might be suffering, maybe with the same situation of not thinking, life is not important. There's always, it's easy to say, but there's always a brighter side to things. Just keep positive and have God in your life. I don't try to push religion on anyone, but, have your faith in God and know that, we're all going to be okay, Yeah. So I thank you for your friendship and this connection. And
may it prosper.
Yeah. And if you want more pizza to take home, you can. And it's not too dark yet. So, and then I know it's getting hot in the RV. We got to turn the air conditioning on. But yeah. So take care. And to the listeners out there, man, this is so crazy. I'm talking to Johnny. I'm on a podcast with this guy. This guy's a legend. What the heck? This guy's a super legend.
Him too.
Okay. Take care, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for checking out this episode of 2400 Block Podcast. Don't forget